and welcome to Straight Talk on Social Media. My name is Ian Desher, Digital Marketing Specialist. Dave Newstroughton is out doing a presentation today, so you've just got me today. Let's go ahead and begin with the news. Last week, Gap felt the power of social media when they unveiled their new logo shown here on the right. Gap fans across the world immediately jumped on the new logo, angry that Gap had switched from their classic blue box, and frankly not impressed with the new logo. The outcry on Facebook and Twitter was huge. At first, the Gap stood by their new logo, and Marka Hansen, president of Gap North America, wrote a defense and explanation of the new logo. But the power of social media prevailed again, and Gap changed its mind. About 2 days later, Gap recanted and switched back, as you can see in the Facebook post here.
Marka Hansen wrote in a statement, "At Gap brand, our customers have always come first. We've been listening to and watching all of the comments this past week. We heard them say over and over again that they are passionate about our blue box logo and they want it back. So we've made the decision to do just that. We will bring it back across all channels. We've learned a lot in this process, and we are clear that we did not go about this in the right way. We recognize that we missed the opportunity to engage with the online community. This wasn't the right project at the right time for crowdsourcing." Now that is a huge backpedaling statement for Gap, and one that illustrates the power of customers' voices through social media. Facebook and Bing, Microsoft's search engine, announced this week that you can begin connecting your Facebook account to your Bing searches so that when you search for a particular person or an item on Bing, Facebook recommendations pop up telling you what your friends have said or suggesting new connections to you. But don't take my word for it. Here is the short video that Bing and Facebook put together on how the new service works.
What if when you searched, you could bring your friends? Well, now you can. Bing and Facebook have come together to make your search experience more social. Now, it's easier to find the friend you haven't seen since 3rd grade. Or connect with the new friend you met at Brad's birthday party. With Bing, you can also see what your Facebook friends have liked. Whether it's a movie you're thinking about renting, or which takeout to get. Search is more fun when you bring your friends. Search more social.
So that's the Facebook and Bing deal. And then also, last time I talked about a rumored deal between Facebook and Skype. So just a quick update to tell you that the deal has in fact happened, as announced just a few days ago. Now, users of Skype will be able to connect to their Facebook account and then easily call their Facebook friends who are online. Right now, this functionality is only available with Skype 5.0 for Windows, but expect it to hit Mac and mobile soon as well. The one to watch this week is an updated feature from Facebook. They've updated their groups function so you can segment your contacts into different groups. The idea is that I can create a group of my family members, for instance, and then I can choose to post certain photos or videos only to that group because I only want those particular people to share that news. The problem Facebook's new group function immediately faced was that, as you can see here, you can add anyone you want to a group. Now that's fine if you create a group called family. Probably none of the people above would object to being included in my family group. But on the other hand, you could also create a group called people who are totally whack and add friends to that group. They're automatically added even if they didn't approve, and then it shows up on their public profile that they are part of that group. Of course, you could easily leave any group you're in, but one can imagine how this might get out of hand. What if around election time, friends start lumping their friends whose political views they disagree with into groups called crazy liberal wackos or deranged conservative nutballs? It remains to be seen whether this Facebook feature will take off and be successful or not. Here are just a few takeaways from the news. First, the Gap logo fiasco should remind marketers that if you're going to make a big change to a familiar brand or roll out a change to your product that might be controversial, you should bring your customers into the process early on. I'm not sure Gap knew just how beloved their blue box logo was until they started messing with it, but they found out in a hurry. The mistake they made was to change the logo without consulting their customers at all. This may represent a new era in branding and product development. Because of social media, customers expect to have a say in what their favorite companies do. In retrospect, Gap should have asked their customers what they thought about a new logo, and then maybe even let customers vote on a few choices. Obviously, this could get out of hand, and sometimes companies need to just make choices. But this is a big learning point for any company on Facebook. Your fans expect to be consulted about some of your bigger business choices. Last time I said that the Facebook Skype deal could continue to change the way traditional phone service works as more and more people choose to talk online. So we're at a wait-and-see point to see how much this new offering changes the way people communicate. Telecommunications client of ours expect more updates in the future about this. And the Facebook Bing deal is an exciting opportunity. What is now being called social search is a potentially very useful tool, and if you can use the power of a search engine to find your friends' opinions and views on certain topics. The takeaway here is two things. First, social search shows us that word-of-mouth marketing, which is essentially what social search is all about, is alive and well. Social media has made word-of-mouth king, as we can see when things go viral, or in cases like Gap's logo, where people get the word out with their negative views. That leads to a second takeaway, which is that social search could change the possibilities for search engine marketing. In other words, for the kinds of ads that you might consider placing for certain search terms. What ways will you have to change the way your search engine marketing works to attract the attention of people searching online, particularly if you are competing with the views of their friends? Social search is a great opportunity and a new challenge for marketers. And finally, Facebook's new group function is, for the moment, mired in privacy issues, since you can add any of your friends to any group you want. This is another reminder for anyone using social media that privacy is among users' #1 concerns. I just finished reading a book about the founding and ongoing development of Facebook called The Facebook Effect by David Kirkpatrick. And he makes it clear that one of Facebook's goals is to help people feel more comfortable sharing things online, to help people be less concerned about privacy. But as Facebook has shown time and time again, and as companies who are using social media should be aware of, privacy is still a hot issue for social media users, and you can't force people to move at a pace they're not comfortable with. So that's the news, and now let's stop talking about Facebook and head into the focus, looking at 5 social media sites beyond Facebook and Twitter. I'm going to say a bit about each of these 5 services, show you how they work, and then at the end, talk about how they might be useful and how they might not be. The social media terrain, first of all, is vast and varied. One of my favorite graphics is this 2010 social networking map created by Flowtown, shown here in 2 pieces, though the original is one long, tall image. This map shows the social media world where the size of various social media countries is determined by the number of users they have. So Facebook is in the middle there with 500 million users at the time the map was created, and so on and on. Today I'm going to talk about Reddit, which doesn't appear on the map, Dig, Yelp, which also isn't on the map, LinkedIn, and Tumblr. You'll note that I'm not talking about some of the larger ones listed here, including Habbo, Friendster, Orkut, and Bebo. The reason I'm not talking about these is either that they're not big in the United States, in other words, the bulk of their users are in other countries, or because they're not applicable to our clients. For instance, Habbo is a virtual world social media gaming site. So first, on to Reddit. Registration for Reddit is incredibly simple. You can just create a username, create a password, prove you're human by writing in a numeric alphabetic code, and that's it. Even your email address is optional with Reddit, which is rare among social media sites. Unlike Facebook, you don't have to claim your own actual identity on Reddit at all. Now, the purpose of Reddit is to be a news sharing site. And the way Reddit does this is to let its users share links of any kind, links to articles, to blog posts, to pictures, to videos, links to anything out there on the web. Now, the first thing that struck me about Reddit's interface is that it is incredibly busy. So this is what it looks like when you first log in, but let me show you this homepage bit by bit to explain exactly what's there. First, this is what a link looks like on Reddit, and this is the main service Reddit provides. The user, Hillhouse, has called the link Kurt Vonnegut got it right, and the link goes to an image of Kurt Vonnegut and a quote. Comments are shared on the link, and 1,622 people have done what's called voting the link up, meaning that they clicked on that up arrow on the left-hand side and said that this was a good link. That's how Reddit works. People recommend links, and those links get pushed to the top of Reddit, the idea being that you will end up learning some of the news you need and want to know by what other people think is popular or interesting. At its core, Reddit is intended to be a news site. But the topics on Reddit aren't just news. Here's a snapshot of the topics listed at the top of the Reddit page. There are some things you might expect on a traditional news site, like politics, technology, and science. But there are also untraditional topics like WTF, atheism, Canada, and more. Reddit purposely positions itself as an alternative newsy service, something punchy and radical. At the top of the page, there are tabs that let you filter what you're seeing, not just the most popular news under what's hot, but you can also look at the newest posts, controversial posts, top posts, or you can save links that you like the most. And finally, on the right-hand side of the homepage, you can see an ad, this particular one from Amazon.com. You can put this ad in as a link by clicking on the Reddit This Ad button, But we'll see that advertising, particularly banner ads of the sort that aren't actually allowed by Facebook anymore, are still on most of these other social media sites. So that's Reddit, and now let's talk about Dig. You've heard me mention maybe the problems that Dig has had recently thanks to its site redesign and its burnt-out CEO. But Dig is still a popular social media site for the time being. Its function is basically the same as Reddit's. It's a link-sharing service that purports to give you the most important news based on what's hot. In terms of functionality, it works almost exactly the same as Reddit, except for my money, the layout is much cleaner and more readable. The top news tab at the top shows you the best news based on the number of people who have highlighted a particular link. The My News tab shows you the news from people that you decide to follow on Dig, very similar to the way you might follow someone on Twitter. So the news shown there is only links posted by your connections. Also note that here again we have a banner ad on the right-hand side. When you start signing up for Dig, you have the option to find people through your existing social media sites, like Facebook and Twitter, and also anyone with a Google account who might also be using Dig. This too will be a common feature of most of these 5 sites I show you today. Almost all of them have an option for linking to Facebook and or Twitter, and usually Google too. Setting up a profile on Dig is very easy, and they let you put in a profile picture to identify yourself. Sharing links is really easy. You can see here a link that I shared, calling it Marketing Lessons from the Old Spice Guy, and sharing a pivot article from our Facebook page. When people click on the Dig button in the yellow on the left-hand side, it makes the story slightly more popular and therefore more likely to be seen by other followers. Of course, at this point, only I had dug it because I just posted it. You can also see here that at the top it says the story was sent to your 0 followers. But of course, if 200 people were following me on Dig, this would automatically be sent to them first and start appearing on their My News tab, which again is much like a Twitter feed. The upcoming tab on Dig shows links that are quickly becoming recommended and making their way up to being the most popular. But the thing I wanted especially to highlight here is the third article down, which is called Now Anyone Can Make Money on Gigswood. When we take a closer look at that link, we see it has a label below it that says Sponsored by Gigswood. This means that it is a link that an advertiser has paid to have put on Dig, almost identical to promoted tweets that Twitter is using. This is another way Dig has started to make some advertising revenue. So that's Dig, very similar to Reddit and an interesting way to share news and get news about all kinds of things. Moving on now to Yelp. The purpose of Yelp is to be a one-stop place to see ratings of all kinds of businesses. You create a profile, which in general suggests that your first name be made public, and then you can review any business you want to. The level of accountability here is somewhere between Reddit, where you're basically totally anonymous, and Facebook, where you're expected to literally be yourself. So you can see here that I created a profile for myself, and now I'm trying to look up Bagelland in Portland, one of my favorite local businesses. Yelp finds Bagelland and shows me the 13 reviews it has already received. I can write my own review by clicking on that Write a Review button. And so I went ahead and did that. I wrote this review, gave it 5 stars, of course, and just wrote this very simple little review for Bagelland. Now, as soon as I write that review, Yelp gives me the option to connect to my Facebook profile and post this review directly there. Yelp understands that most of its users are Facebook users as well, and might want to get the word out about the review they wrote that way. Of course, it promotes Yelp as well when a user decides to link their Yelp review to their personal Facebook profile. So now you can see my profile, which shows my first name, my location, how long I've been on Yelp, and displays my one review. On the right-hand side, you can see which friends I've connected to on Yelp. When I first set up my profile, Yelp offered to search through my Facebook account and find all of my friends on Facebook who also use Yelp. So I connected to a few friends that way, although anecdotally I can tell you that although I have about 650 Facebook friends, only about a dozen were found who use Yelp. So that tells you something about the relative size of those two services. But the connection to friends piece is a big part of Yelp, because seeing what your friends have reviewed is always more powerful than seeing what random people you don't know have reviewed. So Yelp has wisely let you connect with friends' reviews of businesses, drawing on the idea that word-of-mouth marketing is always the most powerful kind. Anyway, that's the introduction to Yelp, a service primarily for customer reviews. Moving over to LinkedIn, the purpose of LinkedIn is to be a professional networking tool. It's fairly easy to sign up using a first name, last name, email, and password. And then the profile you create looks a lot like a resume. You can even upload your resume in various formats, and LinkedIn will try to use it to automatically populate some of the information on your LinkedIn profile.